London, England, December 24th, 1987, 6:47 p.m. Harrods department store is a madhouse. It's Christmas Eve, and the last desperate shoppers are cramming through the doors, searching for final gifts. The main floor glitters with decorations, gold and red everywhere. Christmas carols playing over speakers, the scent of expensive perfume mixing with the crush of too many people in too small a space. At the back of the store, near the toy department, the checkout lines stretch endlessly. Families, couples, single parents, all clutching last-minute presents, all hoping their credit cards will work, all praying they have enough. In line number 7, a man stands alone. He's wearing a long black coat, a fedora pulled low over his face, and a surgical mask covering his nose and mouth. Sunglasses even though it's nearly 7 in the evening and he's indoors. He looks like someone who doesn't want to be recognized. He's holding a single item, a stuffed cat, gray and white, soft. The woman in front of him has 3 children, 2 boys and a girl, all under 10. They're tired, cranky. The woman is counting cash. Her hands are shaking slightly. She has a calculator. She's adding and subtracting, trying to make the numbers work. "Mummy, can we go home?" the little girl asks. "Soon, darling. Soon." The woman finally hands over her cash. The clerk counts it, then looks up apologetically. "I'm sorry, ma'am. You're 37 pounds short." The woman's face crumbles, just for a second. Then she rebuilds it into something brave. "Right, okay. Which items should I put back?" The 3 children don't understand yet, but they will in a moment, when their mother starts removing toys from the counter, when Christmas gets smaller. The clerk begins removing items, a toy truck, a doll, a game. The little girl sees her doll being taken away and starts to cry. "Mummy, no! Father Christmas needs to bring that one." "I know, sweetheart, but Father Christmas might bring something else instead." The man in the mask takes a step forward. His voice is soft, muffled by the mask, with an accent the woman can't quite place. "Excuse me, how much is she short?" The clerk looks up. 37 pounds, sir, but it's not your concern." "I'd like to pay it." The woman turns, stares at him. "What?" "The difference. I'd like to pay it, if that's all right with you." The woman's eyes fill with tears. I can't accept that. That's too much. It's Christmas Eve, and I have more than I need. Please, let me." The man pulls out a wallet, removes 2 20-pound notes, hands them to the clerk. "Keep the change for the next person who's short." The clerk takes the money, stunned. The woman is crying now. Thank you so much. Say Merry Christmas. That's enough." The little girl waves at him. He waves back. Then he moves forward in line to pay for his stuffed cat. But something happens while he's waiting. He hears it behind him, again and again. The same conversation, different voices, same story. "I'm sorry, your card has been declined. Can you try again, please?" "I've tried 3 times, sir. Do you have another card?" The man in the mask turns around, looks at the lines, 7 checkout counters, at least 30 people per line, and he can see it in their faces. The worry, the calculation, the quiet panic of trying to make Christmas happen when the numbers don't add up. The clerk at his register says, "Sir, that'll be 12 pounds 50 for the cat." The man doesn't answer. He's staring at something past her, at all those people, all those faces, all that quiet, desperate hope. "Sir?" He turns back to her. "What time do you close tonight?" 8 o'clock, in just over an hour. "And how many people would you say are still in the store, waiting to check out?" The clerk looks confused. "I don't know. Maybe 200. It's Christmas Eve, so we're packed." The man is quiet for a long moment. Then he reaches into his coat and pulls out something the clerk has never seen in person before. A bank envelope, thick, the kind that holds serious cash. "I want to pay for everyone," he says quietly. The clerk blinks. "I'm sorry." "Everyone in this store, everyone waiting to check out. I want to pay for their purchases." The clerk laughs, nervous. Sir, that's impossible. Do you know how much that would cost? No, but I'd like to find out. Can you get your manager, please? 3 minutes later, the floor manager arrives. Middle-aged woman, professional. She's dealt with everything retail can throw at her, but she's never dealt with this. Sir, I understand you want to make a rather unusual purchase? Not unusual, simple. I want to pay for everyone's shopping, everyone who's in line right now, everyone who comes through before you close. I want to cover it all. The manager's professional composure cracks. Sir, that could be tens of thousands of pounds. I have cash. He opens the envelope. It's full of 50-pound notes, stacks of them. Will this be enough? The manager looks inside. Her face goes pale. Where did you get this much cash? I went to my bank this morning. I had a feeling I might need it. A feeling? It's Christmas Eve. People need help. I can help. It's simple. The manager is struggling to understand. Sir, I need to ask, why? The man in the mask is quiet. Then, because I'm going to be alone tonight. And if I'm alone, at least someone else won't be disappointed. At least some children will get their toys. That's worth more than money. The manager's eyes fill with tears. How do you want to do this? I'll stand here. You make an announcement. Tell people an anonymous donor is paying for purchases. Set a limit per person, £300 per family. Let them have Christmas. The manager picks up the store phone. Her hands are shaking. The announcement echoes through Harrods. Attention shoppers, we have an extraordinary situation this evening. An anonymous donor has offered to pay for customers' purchases. If you're in line to check out, your items will be covered up to £300 per family. This is not a joke. This is real. Merry Christmas from a friend who wants to remain anonymous. For 3 seconds, the entire store is silent. Then chaos. People don't believe it at first, but the cashiers are nodding, confirming. It's real. Someone is paying, someone they can't see. The man in the mask stands to the side as people rush to the registers. He watches. The manager stands beside him. Why the mask? She asks quietly. Because this isn't about me. It's about them. If they knew who I was, it would become a story about me. My name, my fame. But it's not about that. It's about a mother getting to see her children's faces on Christmas morning. It's about making Christmas happen for people who thought it wouldn't. At Register 4, a young woman is crying so hard she can barely speak. She has an infant in a carrier and a toddler in the cart. Baby clothes, formula, diapers. The cashier tells her it's paid for. She collapses against the counter, sobbing. At Register 2, an elderly man who is buying a single book for his wife is told he can get more. He goes back and gets 3 more books, and a scarf, and chocolates. He's crying too. The man in the mask watches all of this. The manager can see his eyes through the sunglasses. They're wet. Are you all right? She asks. I'm fine. I'm better than fine. Over the next hour, people stream through the registers. Some take the full £300. Some take less. A few people refuse at first, saying others need it more, until the cashiers explain there's enough for everyone. The woman from earlier, with 3 children, comes back. She approaches the man in the mask directly. They told me you're the one paying. He says nothing. I need to know who you are. I need to thank you properly. You don't need to pay me back. You need to pay it forward. Someday, when you have more than you need, remember this night. Remember how it felt. And do something kind for someone else. That's how you thank me. But I don't even know your name. You don't need to. Merry Christmas. He turns to walk away, but she grabs his arm, gently. Please. My daughter wanted to give you something. The little girl steps forward. She's holding a drawing, crayon on paper. It shows a stick figure in black with a hat, surrounded by other stick figures with smiles. This is you, she says shyly. The Christmas angel. The man in the mask takes the drawing. His hands are shaking now. "Thank you," he whispers. "This is the best gift I've received in years." He carefully folds it and puts it in his coat pocket. Then he walks away quickly, before anyone can see him cry behind the mask. At 8:15 p.m., the store closes. The manager finds the man in the mask waiting by the door, alone, his stuffed cat in a Harrods bag. "How much?" he asks. £23,640. You paid for 187 families, approximately 200 people if you count children. He reaches into his coat, pulls out more cash. "This should cover the rest. And this," he hands her 5 100-pound notes, "is for your staff. They worked hard tonight. They were kind." The manager is crying now. Who are you? Someone who had a good year. Someone who wanted to share it. "Will you come back next year?" He thinks about this. "I don't know if I'll be here next year, but someone will. Kindness doesn't end with one person. It spreads." He walks toward the door. The manager calls after him. "At least tell me your first name, please." He pauses, turns back. "Frederick. My name is Frederick." Then he walks out into the snowy London night, alone, carrying his stuffed cat, anonymous, free. Inside Harrods, the staff stands in silence. They just witnessed something impossible. A Christmas miracle performed by a stranger who wanted nothing in return. The manager looks down at the remaining cash in her hands. There's a note attached, written in neat handwriting. "For anyone who comes tomorrow desperate and late, Merry Christmas. F." But here's what she doesn't know yet. The man in the mask was Freddie Mercury, one of the most famous rock stars on Earth, the voice of Queen. And he was dying. He'd known for months. AIDS. The diagnosis came in April. By December, he was getting sicker. He knew this might be his last Christmas. So he went to Harrods on Christmas Eve, alone, because all his friends were with their families, and he wanted to do something that mattered, something real, something that wasn't about Freddie Mercury the performer, but about Farrokh Bulsara, the human being. He withdrew £25,000 from his bank that morning. His financial manager thought he was insane. "Freddie, what do you need that much cash for?" "Christmas shopping." And he meant it, but not for himself. Jim Hutton, Freddie's partner, was waiting for him at home when he returned. It was nearly 10 p.m. "Where have you been? I was worried." Freddie removed his mask and hat. His face was flushed. His eyes were bright. He looked more alive than he had in weeks. "I went shopping." "For 8 hours?" Freddie pulled out the stuffed cat. "This is for you. Merry Christmas." Jim took the cat. "You were gone for 8 hours. You bought a stuffed cat?" Freddie smiled, that devastating smile. "I bought a few other things, too." "Like what?" "Happiness, hope, Christmas, things you can't wrap." Jim stared at him. "What did you do?" Freddie told him. All of it. The mother, the announcement, the 187 families, the £23,640, the little girl's drawing, which he pulled from his pocket and pinned to their refrigerator. Jim was speechless. "You spent £23,000 on strangers. I spent £23,000 on Christmas. There's a difference." "But Freddie, you're sick. You need that money for treatment." "I have enough." Freddie's voice was firm. "More than enough. I have houses, cars, money in accounts I'll never spend. What I don't have is time, and I wanted to spend what time I have left doing something that matters. Buying toys matters? To that little girl? Yes. To that mother who was crying? Yes." Freddie sat down heavily. "Jim, I'm going to die soon. We both know that. And when I die, people will talk about my music, my performances. But tonight, for a few hours, I got to be something more than a performer. I got to be useful. I got to make people happy without a stage or a microphone. I got to be human." Jim sat beside him. "You're always human." "Not to them. To most people, I'm Freddie Mercury, the character, the legend. But tonight, I was just a man who could help, and they didn't know my name. They just wanted their Christmas to happen, and I made it happen." They sat in silence. Then Jim said quietly, "You're a good man." "I'm a dying man who had a good day, that's all." For 28 years, that story stayed secret. The Harrods staff were sworn to confidentiality. They honored it. The families who received the help never knew who paid. They just knew someone had. Then, in 2015, a former Harrods cashier posted on Twitter. She was retired, no longer bound by non-disclosure agreements, and she wanted the world to know. "On Christmas Eve, 1987, I was working at Harrods when a masked man paid for over 180 families shopping, £23,000 plus in cash, refused to give his name. Years later, I learned it was Freddie Mercury. He was dying, he knew it, and he spent his last Christmas giving." The tweet went viral. Within hours, people were retweeting it, crying over it. The hashtag number, signed Freddie Mercury Christmas, trended worldwide. The families came forward. They were older now. The children were adults. But they remembered that Christmas when a stranger saved their holiday. The mother with 3 children posted the crayon drawing. The Christmas angel in black. She'd kept it for 28 years. "My daughter drew this for the kind man who paid for our Christmas in 1987. We never knew his name. Tonight I learned it was Freddie Mercury. Sir, wherever you are, thank you. My children grew up knowing that kindness exists, that strangers can be angels. You taught them that." The tweet had 2.3 million likes. More stories emerged. The elderly man, the young mother with the infant, the teenager. Over 100 people came forward, enough to confirm it. Freddie Mercury, on Christmas Eve 1987, alone and dying, spent £23,000 making Christmas happen for strangers. But this wasn't the only time. Jim Hutton revealed that Freddie did this constantly. Paid for strangers' meals, tipped waiters £500 for a £50 bill, gave homeless people hundreds of pounds, paid hospital bills for people he'd never met, donated to AIDS research anonymously. He did it all quietly, anonymously, because fame and fortune meant nothing if you didn't use them to make the world softer for someone else. Mary Austin said in an interview, "People knew Freddie the performer, the bravado and the costumes, but they didn't know Freddie the man who cried at sad films, who rescued stray cats, who couldn't walk past someone in need without helping. That was the real Freddie." Freddie Mercury died on November 24, 1991, 4 years after that Christmas Eve at Harrods. But on December 24, 1991, 1 month after his death, something extraordinary happened. The floor manager at Harrods announced over the speakers, "4 years ago tonight, a kind stranger changed this store forever. He paid for Christmas for 187 families. Tonight, we honor his memory. If you're struggling this Christmas Eve, come to Register 7. We have a fund, started by that stranger, continued by this store. They called it the Frederick Fund, and it still exists today. Every Christmas Eve, Harrods sets aside money to help families who are struggling, enough to carry on what Freddie started. And every year the staff tells the story of the masked man who became a legend, not because he sang, but because he gave. The question people always ask is, why did Freddie do it? Why spend £23,000 on strangers when he was dying? The answer is in the drawing, the crayon picture that Freddie kept on his refrigerator until he died. The drawing that reminded him that sometimes the greatest performance isn't on a stage. It's in a checkout line. It's in being useful when you don't have to be. Freddie Mercury understood something most people don't. Fame is temporary. Money is meaningless. Records are forgotten. But kindness echoes. It spreads. It multiplies. That mother who got her children's Christmas, she paid it forward. Every year she donates to toy drives. She volunteers at shelters. The elderly man, he spent his remaining years being kinder to everyone, tipping generously, helping neighbors. The teenager who got the nicer necklace, he became a teacher. He works in a low-income school. He pays for students' supplies because someone once gave him something he didn't earn. Kindness echoes, and Freddie Mercury knew that. He knew that £23,000 wasn't just buying toys. It was buying belief. Belief that goodness exists, that strangers care, that the world isn't as cold as it sometimes seems. So, on Christmas Eve 1987, Freddie Mercury, alone, dying, wearing a mask, became a Christmas miracle for 187 families. He became proof that magic is real, that angels exist. And he did it all without needing credit, without needing applause, without needing the world to know his name. He did it because it was right, because he could, because that's who Frederick Bulsara was underneath the fame. A kind man, a generous soul, a Christmas angel in black. And every December 24th, somewhere in London, someone tells this story, and someone else hears it, and someone else decides to be kind to a stranger. And the echo continues. Freddie Mercury died, but his kindness lives forever. Merry Christmas, Freddie, and thank you for the music, for the performances, and for that one night in December when you reminded 187 families that Christmas miracles are real. They're just usually wearing masks, so we don't see them coming.